Hi, welcome to Pain Labs. I am fixing my AEG F65011VI integral dishwasher today. What I'm fixing is the dishwasher has a problem where it periodically stopped heating the water completely, and then I took this apart and resoldered a pin on the actuator and fixed it. But that was only about 5-6 weeks ago, and the reason I didn't change the little relay is because I didn't have one. I do now have one, so I ordered one at the time because I suspected that it may or may not work. There's the code for this little brain box here. The problem is this brain box is incredibly expensive, to the tune of probably not worth fixing. This dishwasher is now 7 years old and has done a remarkable bit of service, but I don't really want to spend sort of more than a third the cost of a new dishwasher and then find that the pump goes next and then the clasp starts to go and all of these things, and you end up going through this never-ending cycle of maintenance. So I'm trying to avoid that. But what I am going to do is I have ordered a replacement relay, so I'm going to take this bad boy out, pop it open, change the relay. I'll show you the little point and put it all back together and let you know whether or not it has fixed it. Right. So yeah, my AEG dishwasher. Don't know if you can see there, this is the second time round it's gone and there's still butter on that knife. Now normally I wouldn't leave that kind of butter in there, but I want to know whether or not it's getting hot. You should be able to feel it when it's done, but yeah, needs a repair. It's currently partly apart. I'll show you where all the screws went. One of the key points to note is that you get these little clip-on bolts here on the actual door. I don't know if you can see that. So they're the last bit to come off. So basically, along here, you take off that screw, and then there is another screw here. So just those two screw into the door, and the same on the other side. That one there and that one there. And then you undo this one, this one, this one. Leave these, don't need to undo those. And this one, and this one. All of these along here except those two, because they hold on this clasp here. So you undo all those screws and then you pull out the big screws that hold that on, and then you just pull it up, sort of like, because these sit, if I'm careful, these sit in sort of like this keyhole. So you pull the whole door up, then pull those screw heads out of there, remove that front bit, which gives you some space to access this bad boy. Now, just worth mentioning that this bad boy here has 230 volts on it, and therefore you need to be a little bit careful about what you do. Yeah, best to just isolate the power. Anyway, I've isolated the power just to be safe. It is incredibly important to take note of all of these plugs, because we are going to need to dismantle and unplug all of them. So I now have a video record, which is great, but just take a photo before you dismantle them so that you can put them all back together exactly where they came from. So these little plugs, they come out like that, but they've got this little ridge here, so you've got to try and lift them a little bit like that and then jam a screwdriver. I'm going to stick a screwdriver in there. As you can see, last time I did it I broke off one of these pins, and so I stick the screwdriver in there, just lift them up enough to get over that little ridge and then wiggle like that and jemmy it and get them to pop out. Okay, this whole LCD unit here needs to slide that way, but you'll see right here is this clip. So we need to just pop this clip open so that we can slide the whole thing in that direction. Pretty sure that I can just jam that in there. If you look, you just pop that open, and then one-handed is not easy. Just slide the thing back. I need a head camera. I need to buy me a GoPro. And worth mentioning, there are actually 2 of those clips. There is another one just in there. So you've got to get your screwdriver in at an angle and jimmy the clip as you slide. Alright. Okay, so that's now free. So it's slid backwards like that, and you can see that all the buttons are coming out, and it now lifts completely clear. We left behind 3 buttons there. I'll just pop those back in. They're very easy to fit. So we'll get those back together. That's interesting. We have. See, this is why I'm not willing to spend too much more on this. This thing seems to have cracked on my last time I screwed it in, so I am going to need to attempt. I'm going to put some super glue on that and pray, basically, get it back together. But yeah, literally we are getting the last lease of life out of this dishwasher. Okay, next step. So here we have our control board that we removed, and here we have, let's have a look at what we've got here. This is the mouse part number I went for, single pole, double throw, 10 amp, 12 volt DC. It's not identically spec'd to the one that's actually on the board. I know this because I've already taken the board apart once, but it's going to do the job. Okay, so we've just got these side bits here and here. That's one side. So it hinges here. We're going to need to remove that little rubbery bit. We've got all of our buttons to go with that right here. So that's the front display bit. That'll be dirty, really dirty when you get it, if you crack it open. Just be aware. I've actually cleaned that up last time. So this is the fella that I need to replace. And I don't know if you can see there. But that is the problem. You can see the burning on the side of that. So what I'm going to do now is pop out the little PCB, pop the side bit, and pop this side bit. So there we go. And you can see on the underside the burning on the PCB. I don't know if that's in focus. Let's have a look, shall we? You can see here on the underside the burning on the PCB. Now I resoldered that, and I'm just going to have a quick inspection. The solder joint still looks good, so I'm going to assume that it's actually the relay that's finally carked it, because it had got so hot on that pin that the actual solder joint here had degraded and split. So I resoldered it and it started working again. But I knew that because of the burning marks that this was on its way out, so we'll change the relay now, because the next step would be to replace this entire board, but I think it's 70 quid plus postage, and for about 200 quid you can buy a brand new dishwasher, although this dishwasher was a little bit more than that. So here is the replacement relay. There's the coding on the side of it in case that's of any use to you. And it should be a drop-in, drop-out replacement. I've checked the pin outs. It seems to be the right kind of thing. So just to be a bit belt and braces, I am just going to do a continuity test. Okay, so just check. Yep, we have continuity. So we can say that I tried to build a solder bridge here, but it wasn't happening because the gap is actually quite big, and what I ended up with was way too much solder here, a big lump of solder here, and the biggest problem I had was I was roasting the new relay, and that's the last thing I want to do. So we've got continuity. I am going to fly with that, and hopefully we'll find that this melted relay was the problem, which is almost certainly what it was. Fingers crossed. I will assemble and fill you in. So reinstallation is the reverse of what you did before. I'm not going to be too detailed on that. You're big boys and girls, you can work it out for yourself. Clip it all back in, plug it back in, put the power back on, and just before you put it all back together, quick cursory check. Lovely. Okay, it's all looking good. So refit, reclip, screw everything back in, put it all back together, cross your fingers and pray. Good luck. Okay, so moment of truth. Power you on, multi-tab, correct, auto, wish me luck. Hooray! There's no butter on that knife and it's all steaming. It worked.